Okay, back. So, talk to everybody.
The end of the world. It's hard to believe, isn't it?
I believe Shion is telling the truth. What about you?
As a friend, yes, I want to believe her. Everything that's happened seems to point towards some sort of great danger that's lurking ahead of us. Still, it's hard to fathom something that could usher outright doom to the world. That those really are the stakes we face.
No, I understand. Even Shion doesn't seem to know exactly what will happen to bring it all about.
We have so many pieces of the puzzle in our hands, so many clues, yet the complete picture eludes us.
So where do her thorns fit in then?
Well, I imagine they must sit at the very center of it all. You remember the voice we all heard while we were inside the wedge, don't you?
Yeah, I remember. It was the will of Dana's astral energy come to life. Or that's what we all thought.
Right. And from that, we're able to hypothesize how vast concentrations of astral energy can become sentient. Let's return to when we found Shion in Pelagian. When her thorns went wild, they contained far more astral energy than any mere Renin would normally have inside them.
So you think those thorns might be alive too? That their will is what keeps her from dying? But why would they want to destroy the entire world?
As for that, I really cannot say for certain. Its goals still remain a mystery. It may be a mere fluke that her maiden powers have been able to contain it thus far.
You know, I've noticed since we've met that you like figuring out riddles.
Can you blame me? When one realizes that the world they once thought to be true is but a mere facade, they can't help but seek the truth. Especially when that deception has led to others getting hurt.
Dohalim?
I imagine the remaining pieces of the puzzle that we seek rest somewhere within Lenegis. As for what the final picture will look like, who can say? I think it's best we not dwell on it too much for the time being.
Right.
Yeah, so we're kind of towards, so we're gonna talk to everybody, and then again, it's probably gonna be late. Okay, we can leave now, or we'll finish up stuff here that we need to finish up before we go, because we ain't coming back.
How you holding up?
Who, me?
Yes, you. You took a hit from those thorns again, didn't you?
Oh, that? That was nothing.
Compared to what Shion's going through, you mean? Still, even if you yourself might be willing to endure that kind of pain, that doesn't mean Shion wants to have to see you get hurt by her thorns, you know?
Yeah, I know. I'll be careful.
Shion doesn't know how lucky she is to have you around, you know? Dashing in to save her at the last minute.
Yeah, very funny.
I'm being serious. You went up and held her close like you still had that mask on, and you didn't even bat an eye. She really needed that. That's what I mean when I said you saved her. Just like you did with the rest of us.
I just want for Shion what we all have. The ability to touch someone without the fear of killing them. Those thorns have robbed her of the kind of everyday things we all take for granted. And it's not right.
You can say that again. It may be normal for us, but that doesn't make it any less special or important for her. I hope she gets what she wants. I have my own dreams, but a world without her, where she dies so we can all survive, isn't a world I want to live in.
Agreed. It's like more and more keeps getting taken from her, and I'm done with it.
Okay, then you better not kill off any of the characters. That includes Alphen here, okay? Because I'm, like, kind of concerned.
Did you know?
You mean about Shion?
Yeah, I didn't have the slightest idea. I mean, every once in a while I thought something seemed a little off, but I never could have imagined. It's like a completely different world was spinning around me and I couldn't even see it.
You and me both. I mean, I knew something was bothering her, but I could never quite figure out what it was.
You? But you're the one always looking out for her, aren't you?
That's what I thought. But in reality, I didn't understand it all. What I thought was helping and being there for her was actually just driving her into a corner.
At least you figured it out in time though, right?
I don't think we're out of the woods yet. But yeah, you're right. We brought her back from the edge, and we're going to stop those thorns from taking her, no matter what.
Yeah, with all of us together, there's nothing we can't handle. Shion, the world, we can save everyone. And I mean it when I say we, Alphen.
I know. No lone wolfing it.
Hey, you're the expert on what my dad would say. Do you think he'd pat me on the back or tell me off?
Zephyr, I don't think that he'd have that much to say, to be honest. You're your own man now, Law. And you've already made up your own mind about what you want.
I guess he couldn't say anything even if he wanted to.
Law.
Sorry. I guess those of us amongst the living have enough problems to deal with, don't we? We'll need all our strength to save Shion. I'll probably end up worrying again at some point, but I guess I'll think it over more then. That okay?
Yeah, I think it is. Can't sleep?
After everything we just heard, how could I?
Fair enough.
Shion's had to deal with so much on her own. Even when we were all laughing and celebrating, she just kept quiet and didn't say anything. I thought she was keeping her distance because of her thorns. That it was because she didn't want to hurt anybody by getting too close. I just figured that that was the type of person she was, you know? But it turned out to be none of that. All this time, she felt like she had to die and sacrifice herself for the greater good. But even then, she didn't think she could say anything to us about it.
I know.
She was so alone this entire time. How could I call her a friend and yet be so completely blind to everything she was going through?
I'm sure it made her happy, knowing you were there for her.
You really think so?
Yeah, I do. If she didn't think of us as friends, I don't think she could have ever opened up to us like that. You were a good friend to her before, and you'll be an even better one now.
Yeah, I really hope so. I want to be the best I can for her. When you think about it, we were all alone in our own way. But over time, we've all found ways to let each other into our lives. I hope Shion's able to do that one day too. No, I mean, I hope she's able to do that more. Lots and lots more. I think it'd be really nice if we could all just be there to support each other when it really counts. And forget about our grudges and pain.
Rinwell.
Character development. So much. The place is really pretty. Alright. Next is finally Shion.
Hey, you doing all right?
I seem to cause nothing but worry. As much as I try to look like I have things under control, everyone still worries about me.
You're not the only one.
Hey, do you remember the first time you said I was your friend?
No? When was that? Sorry, I can't remember.
That's okay. It came so naturally to you, I'm not surprised you forgot. I was different back then. The Danans were not even people to me, and I knew I would always be alone. But in that room with Deadime, when you called me your friend, it just shattered the wall that I'd built up around me. Because until that moment, I'd only seen you as a means to an end. I thought of you as a way to use the blazing sword, and to obtain the Renis Alma. But after that day, one time became two, and before I knew it, you'd made a habit of calling me and Dohalim your friends. It didn't matter that we were Renans. You cared about us as you would any other people. Then, everyone else started to call me their friend too. To think of me as their friend. Before then, I never even dreamed I could have that. I didn't want to die and lose you all. But I also didn't want to live if it meant you would all die in my place.
Shion.
But then I realized I'd only really been thinking of myself that entire time. After saying how I felt, and hearing what you all had to say, I finally understood that. Don't worry, it's okay. I'm not planning on dying anymore. I've met too many people along the way who I truly care about to give in now. So I'll fight. For Dana and for myself. I'll fight against my fate to preserve our future. And I'll win, come hell or high water. I don't know how we're going to do it, but I won't let the world end because of me.
It's going to be a long, hard road ahead, Shion. Our fight won't be over until everyone, both Danans and Renans, can finally live in peace. But I swear I'll be there with you until the very end.
Thank you.
My God. God, the expressions,
Remember what we
they're so
learned back
good.
in Calaglia? There's no wall so high that we can't break it down.
Yeah, I think you may be right about that.
Members who have left have returned to your party.
Everyone well rested?
Board?
Let's go.
Board?
Depart for Lenegus.
Board the shop. What? Wait. But. Now? Hold on. The game's gonna be like, are you sure? Is this story stuff? It'd probably say. Take off. No, it doesn't!
What do you say we check back in on the ranch?
Nice. Let's just do that again. Like, can we get on it now? Make your way to the top of the mountain. Farewell, mage. Oh. The truth about Shion is revealed as the party learns about the imminent threat of annihilation facing the whole planet. Bound to determine even more than ever, they board the starship, set their destination for Lenegus. Maybe we do? Well, this says, as well as take care of any loose ends they have left remaining on. It's not saying anything, so I'm like... Let's see if it does. It doesn't. Okay, I guess we're heading to Lenegus. Hopefully we can come back. Probably not.
Well, it's the moment of truth.
This lady better hold together once we're up in the air.
Law, don't say that.
Speaking of which, Alphen, this bucket of bolts got a name?
A name? You know, I'm not sure she ever had one. I never really thought about it.
Well, after all the trouble we went through to find her, we should give her one, right? I was thinking something like...
Fall Nights.
Huh?
It means owl in the ancient tongue. Literally, the one drawn to the skies.
I like it. Sounds perfect for our little escapade.
Not sure I'm completely convinced, but, well, it's as good a name as any. From now on, she'll be known as the Fall Knights.
Okay, people. We have 2 goals. First, we need to get to Lenegis and make the Renans finally leave Dana alone. And then, we need to figure out the truth behind Shion's thorns and find a way to save her. Sound good? All right, then let's go.
I guess we get to go! Okay, let's go. They cleaned her up real nice. I did save before.
You know, I can still hardly believe it.
Believe what?
I mean, just look at it. The whole of existence, crammed inside a tiny frame.
Now that you mention it, I guess you're right. It does look more like a painting than a living, breathing world.
From up here, all the struggles we've been through feel so insignificant.
Nothing like realizing how small you are to put everything into perspective. Kinda makes the differences between the Renans and the Danans feel pretty small too, huh?
How much longer until we reach Lenegis?
There are better ways to use your time than napping. We should take a moment to familiarize ourselves with the facilities on board before arrival.
Good idea. The starship may end up serving as our base of operations once we're down there. Think you'll be all right with the controls?
You mean the one set to automatic pilot? I dare say I'll manage. I'm basically just here to supervise.
In that case, she's all yours.
Your party disbanded.
Everything okay, Shion? You seem a little different.
Different? Like in a bad way different?
No, not at all. You seem more driven lately, like you found a zest for life. It suits you.
Well, she doesn't want to die.
Hey, Alpin, listen to this! So Law and I were just talking and...
Hey, shut up!
What's got Law all flustered?
Only that he's afraid of flying, the big baby. And after all that fuss he made about naming the ship, too.
Hey, I never said I was scared. I just think it's, you know, a little unsettling how we're going to be cruising through space in a glorified tin can. That's all.
It's a starship, dummy. That's what it's supposed to do. I don't think there's anything strange about it.
Well, maybe you're the one with the problem then.
Guys. I'm no expert, but I think we can trust Renan technology. It got me to Dana in one piece, remember?
Oh, that's a good point.
That was 300 years
You think
ago.
so, Alpin. It must be okay. Don't you agree, Law?
Hard to argue with that, seeing how you hitched a ride in one of these things before, Alphin. It's just wrong, okay?
Feels weird to fly. Let's
You okay? Feeling airsick?
Actually, now that you mention it, not at all. These starships are a remarkably smooth ride, all things considered. Nothing like being at sea, thank goodness.
Glad to hear it. That device there caught your eye, huh?
I was just wondering what it is. It looks big enough to fit a person inside of it.
Cryo asleep.
It's a healing pod. It fixes injuries and illnesses.
Oh, you don't say. That should definitely come in handy if any of us get injured while we're down there. Alphin? Was it something I said?
No, I was just thinking back to when I escaped Lenegis, that's all. What with the ceremony and losing control, I was a total mess. Naori laid me inside here.
So, you're saying you got in this thing straight after escaping? But that mean you were inside for 300 years?
Yes, it sounds crazy, I know. But Don't even ask me why I stayed asleep all that time.
That's definitely quite some lie-in, all right. But still, whether you meant to or not, I sure am glad that it's this century that you finally woke up in.
What do you mean?
With the amount of fighting we've done, we would have never made it this far without you. And not only that, but... Alphen, can you recall back to what it is that I said to you? Back when we left Menancia? About the dream of coexistence, and needing to learn what it entailed?
Of course. That's why you came with us, right? To learn what you couldn't at home.
Even in that time, I was well aware that what I was living was a lie. But at the same time, I also felt really compelled to fulfill my brother's wishes. I'll always remember him fondly. But the coexistence we're fighting for isn't for him. It's for people now, and those still to come. The world's bigger than just Menancia. My dream is for all Danans, wherever they might be, to be free. If I've learned anything on this journey, it's that. And the one who brought me along was you, Alphen. I'll forever be grateful to you.
Well, we're not out of this forest just yet. You should probably save your thanks. At least, until we've dealt with the Red Woman.
I know. But whatever we find when we get down there, I'm through looking the other way.
Kisara.
Probably getting a little ahead of myself, huh? Let's take things one step at a time.
Alright. Next up is... This thing seems a lot bigger on the inside than it actually is. Yeah, obviously I can't travel anywhere. And I wish I got more of the flowers, but you know what? It's fine. Back to Dohalim first.
Is something wrong?
No. I was merely thinking how it had been 7 years, that's all.
You mean since you became a lord and left Lenegis? I guess even someone like you can get homesick, huh?
I am as prone to sentimentality as any other. Tell me, though, you too have a history with Lenegis. A traumatic one, no less. This trip will probably mean facing up to some difficult emotions. Doesn't that frighten you?
Well, it is a place where I took the lives of countless people. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't thought about it. But I can't keep running forever. The past is what it is. There's no changing that. But the future's what we make it.
I see.
Dohalim?
Forgive me. I was wrong to pry. We have more pressing matters to address. Come back and speak to me when you finish looking around the ship.
Alright, and then Shion. Best for
We'll
last.
be going to Lenegis soon.
This must feel like a homecoming of sorts to you, huh? What was life on Lenegis like back then? You know, before you came to Dana.
Let's just say, I don't have many happy memories. I've had thorns my whole life, for as long as I can remember. They called it treatment, but in truth, they were just using me as a guinea pig for their research.
You mean, they experimented on you?
That's right. All I was to them was a riddle to solve. They poked and prodded me, trying to figure out what triggered my thorns or changed the form they took. Day in and day out, every single day, one test after another. I'm still surprised they didn't try to dissect me. The look they gave me whenever one of them touched my skin. How could I forget it? Reeling from the pain, like I was a monster or something. Some existence, huh? A blight on any I touched. Helplessly complicit in their pain. I thought things couldn't get any worse. But then they did. I started to have nightmares, visions of the coming apocalypse. Is it any wonder I lacked a cheery disposition? Unable to so much as touch another soul. Loneliness was my best friend.
And your doll.
Sure, I survived, but with the knowledge that one day I'd be swallowed up by oblivion. And that's when it hit me. If I was going to die, then it should mean something. If I have to sacrifice myself to save the world, so be it.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you relive that.
No, it's fine. I'm in a much better place now.
You say it's your destiny to die so that others can live. But why not the other way around? Why shouldn't we be the ones dying to save you?
Are you crazy? Why would you sacrifice your life for...
That's exactly my point. Why should you have to give up your life just because you drew the short straw in the destiny stakes? How is that even right? It's that logic that's used to justify slavery, as if some of us were just meant to be sacrificed. This struggle was never about saving only ourselves. But that doesn't mean we have to give up our own lives to save everyone else's either. If we're doing this to protect people, if we're doing this to save the world from destruction, then that has to include saving each other as well.
A world free of sacrifice. That's what you've been fighting for all along, isn't it?
Not just me. We're in this together, remember? This fight is yours too, Xion. If we're going to win, everyone has to win. There can be no room for losers in this fight. Now I see it. The true nature of our struggle.
A victory without losers. But that means that a Dahnan victory over Rena can't be the end. Do you think we can pull it off?
You bet we can pull it off. We have to. It's the only hope we have of things ever changing.
Yeah, you're right. No one's ever changed the future without aiming for the stars. We can do this. Together.
I wanted older. Okay. Alright, we did everything. Talked to the Holine.
Is everyone about ready? We'll soon be making preparations to land.
Before we do that, just what exactly should we expect when we get down there?
Not a warm welcome.
Kisara has a point. Now that I think of it, I don't know the first thing about Lenegis.
I'd like to hear more too. It's been centuries since I was last there, and they didn't exactly give me the grand tour.
Very well. First and foremost, Lenegis was the base of operations in charge of the crown contest on Dana. Of course, it also happens to be a city in its own right, complete with its own independent society. Its social structure is based on a strict hierarchy. Put simply, the strength of an individual's astral arts carries great weight.
Enough to determine someone's social rank, you mean? But astral arts are innate, right? So people's positions are fixed at birth.
They can be honed with the right training, and there are admittedly other factors at play. But yes, that's basically the gist. As a result, family lines that churn out lords and their contenders wield disproportionate influence, and those lineages are treated as nobility.
Those capable of only weak astral arts are effectively an underclass, denied the right to descend to Dana even if they wanted to. Still, even the lowest rung on the Renan ladder is considered superior to being a Dahnan. Keep that in mind down there.
Thanks for the warning. As a lord, Dohalim must have been pretty high up in the pecking order, right? What about you, Xion?
Come on, you've seen her skill with astral arts. You really need to ask?
Yeah, but
Fair
her
point.
thorns, basically she was the
On
experiment.
arts alone, you're right. I'd have been sitting pretty. But you're forgetting my thorns. They weren't exactly an invitation to high society.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's refreshing to be around someone who says what they're thinking. Life's less complicated that way.
Jeez, give backhanded compliments much?
Wait a second. Are you? He is! Law's blushing!
I am not!
Of course, separating people into castes based on something arbitrary like arts is discrimination at its worst. As if such simplistic criteria could ever be a measure of someone's worth.
Wouldn't
So this
Widwell be
red
higher?
woman, are we expecting to find her on Lenegis?
I would wager so. Lenegis is too deeply involved in all this to discard the possibility. Chances are she's also connected to the Renis Alma being stolen from us in Pelegion.
If the Renis Alma is being used to exploit Dana, we need to take it back at all costs.
That red woman's got a lot to answer for. Just as well I've got a ton of questions.
I go finish the Like if
We're about to land. The descent could be a little bumpy, so brace yourselves.
If there are clues about your thorns out there, Shion, we'll find them.
basically, if they didn't know Renwell was Denon, and they just saw her arts but didn't see her eyes, then they'd be like, "Oh, you have strong astral arts." It's like probably stronger than a lot of Renans. But guess what? She's Denon, motherfuckers. Oh my god, so many cutscenes. So much.
There's no one here. I wasn't expecting a welcome mat, but still.
Lenegus's infrastructure is largely automated. Besides, people won't be expecting incoming traffic while the crown contest is still underway.
Ooh, that's a nicer ship up there. Are we gonna upgrade to that one?
Do you think anyone realizes that we're here?
We may not have received a royal welcome, but I doubt our entrance went unnoticed. Don't let your guard down.
We're in enemy territory.
I really hope we don't have to fight anybody while we're here.
So now what? We've come all this way on a hunch that this red woman is here, right? And if we're lucky, the Renis Alma too. Any idea where we should start looking?
There is an area of the city that is accessible only to the sovereigns, known as the Forbidden Zone. That seems as good a place as any for us to start.
Forbidden? What are they hiding?
I don't know, hence my desire to find out. Fortunately, we just so happen to have a sovereign in our midst.
Well, what you know?
In any case, changing the shape of a huge structure such as Lenegus would have required an immense source of power.
Then you think that source might have been the Renis Alma?
Precisely. Alphen said that he remembered the Renis Alma being used in the spirit channeling ceremony 3 centuries ago. Whatever the ceremony's purpose, if preparations are underway for it to be held once more, then the Renis Alma might be in the same place as last time, possibly together with the Red Woman. Hiding something of that worth in the residential quarters would only court trouble. In which case...
It stands to reason we should be looking somewhere normally out of bounds. Is that it?
Indeed.
But it's been over 300 years since I was made a sovereign. You can't seriously think I'll be able to waltz right into the place after all this time.
You still have the mark.
There's only one way to find out. If there's even a chance you can get us in, I say we give it a shot.
Shion's right. Who knows? We might even find a clue to her thorns while we're at it.
All right. It's not like we're swimming in leads, so let's try to track down the Forbidden Zone.
Of course it would be called the Forbidden Zone.
Beyond that wall lies a city full of Renans. The capital city where Shion and Dohalim used to live, no less. Who knows what we'll find on the other side.
Oh, okay, so I can go back. Okay, good. Good. I can go back. Cool. Yeah, we're gonna continue on here then.
Thinking about what could be lurking out here is giving me the heebie-jeebies.
For such a loudmouth, you sure can be a worrywart at times.
Oh, I'm sorry. How stupid of me for wanting us to stay safe.
I love these
Would you
two.
two children stop squabbling? Or do you want everyone to know we're here?
So how many Renans actually live in this place?
I couldn't tell you exactly, though not as many as you might expect. Machines and Zeugles take care of most of the city's basic functions.
There's Zeugles out here too, huh?
Of course there are.
Sounds like we can't afford to let our guard down after all.
Nope. Be boring if we did. Okay, I can't go any further. Okay, good to know. So they'll probably be, yeah, so before the final whatever, like final area, whatnot, it's gonna, they usually warn you, like, hey, finish up stuff. So the fact that we can fly back to Dana is a good thing. Because I was a little worried. I was like, fuck. I wonder if we end up going to Rena. I have a feeling we will. Oh! Oh no! This isn't good. Yeah, they're not gonna... Yeah, that's why they're not bothering with us, because, some shit went down. What happened? Lennigus. You know, it might not have been a bad idea to give the Danons some Renin clothing.
What in the world?
This being Renin territory, I was prepared for a lot of things to look different. But this is a bit more than I anticipated.
The very foundations of the city have shifted. What could have caused this?
Probably it changing.
When Lennigus changed shape, it must have had an effect on the interior, too.
Maybe when they sent the wedge down to Dana?
But they wouldn't move around the places where people live. These are their homes, right?
Yeah, fuck them!
I would think the citizens themselves didn't have much say in the matter. Either way, locating the Forbidden Zone just became that much trickier.
Dohalim? Is that you?
Avakir, I'm glad to see you're well.
So it is you! But why are you here? Shouldn't you be down on Dana participating in the crown contest? And these people!
So you haven't heard what happened on Dana, then?
Heard what?
Someone you know?
An old friend.
Hey, Dohalim, don't tell me you've started keeping company with...
They're with me. More importantly, what's happened here?
I'm really not sure. The city's foundations began to shift without warning, and now everything looks like this. We're all waiting for the Sovereign to tell us what's happening, but so far...
Avakir, listen to me. We're looking for the Forbidden Zone. Do you have any idea where we might find it?
The Forbidden Zone? What business could you possibly have there?
Trust me. The less you know, the better.
You're just the same as ever. I wish I could help, but what with the changed topography, I can barely locate my own home. Let alone the Forbidden Zone.
Very well. It looks like we'll have to find the way there ourselves.
Have you seen Faria yet?
Oh, that was the girl. Probably.
No.
I see. Well, nothing much has changed with her. If anything, she's probably even more...
I can well imagine.
Oh, we're gonna get some
Why
more
did you
for
come
Dohalim.
back? You know it can only result in pain for you both.
I've no doubt of that.
You really are the same as ever. Fine, I understand. Just don't say I didn't warn you. And take care of yourself. Okay, Doe?
No? Oh, he had us a nickname for him. But it's Doe. All I can say is Doe. You know there's a fucking
who's
outtake with him
Faria?
saying that way.
Law?
If what Avakir said is true, it would seem the people of Lennigus are being kept in the dark about what's happening down on Dana.
They seem to be just as clueless about what's going on up here in their own world. Despite the fact that it's actually here that the wedge originally came from.
We need more information. Let's talk to the citizens, see what we can find out.
While we're at it, we can ask them about the Red Woman, too.
And don't forget about finding the way to the Forbidden Zone either.
Let's leave the talking to Shion. We can't have a bunch of Danons poking their noses around.
Good idea. I think that's for the best.
Yeah, I was about to
I shall
say.
assist.
You sure?
Being a lord on Lennigus has its advantages.
Right. Then we'll leave it to you two.
Why they're confused. So I should
The
probably...
Danons among us should probably keep our heads down.
What if people freak out?
I shall explain it away by saying I'm leading you.
What are we, dogs?
Well, on Lennigus to the Renans, yeah.
What could be so important? It's worth destroying people's livelihoods and homes in the process. It's just... unbelievable. Uprooting an entire city as if it were mere building blocks. Someone's got an awful lot of questions to answer.
From how it looks, they must be siphoning off astral energy from Dana, and then sending it to Rena.
But why do all this? What for? Surely they can't be using all that energy for the crown contest.
Whatever their purpose, disrupting their siphoning process alone won't be sufficient. Not while we still don't know what their endgame is.
He's right. We need to stop this from happening ever again.
This Forbidden Zone might be where we find some answers, right? So what are we waiting for? Let's get moving!
You heard him. You don't have time to stop and chat. Let's move.
Rena's dying, isn't it? It's been dying. So that's why they were taking the energy. And it's gotten worse. Instead of better. Now both planets are.
So, I've been wondering, do you think when Lenegus was built, it was even made with people living here in mind?
What do you mean?
Well, none of this happened by coincidence, right? They must have designed it to transform like this. But then, if they knew people were going to live here, you'd think they would have taken that into consideration, to avoid all this chaos.
Ordinarily, yes. You'd think so. Trust me, as far as we were concerned, Lenegus was our home, nothing more. No one knew about all this. It makes you wonder whether the city was just built on as an afterthought. But if so, to what exactly?
Sorry, that probably sounded weird, huh?
No.
Not at all. Sometimes it takes an outsider's eye to help you notice what you've been missing all along. This place is a mystery, that's for sure. Something tells me we'll find answers where we're going, though.
Yeah, you're right, Shion. I'm sure we will.
Okay, any more? No. Oops. So, I know it probably doesn't affect. However, I since we're on, Lenegus, let's walk around as Shion. Is Lenegus done for? The residence quarter is falling apart. Oh, I wonder if I can heal some people up here. I heard something, though. Yeah, we'll run around as Shion. What's the Dane sovereign when you need him? Can't he see the city's in trouble? Let's not jump to conclusions now. I'm sure there's a reason he hasn't appeared yet. Let's simply give it time. Orange gel? I'll take that. Oh, perfect. Heal. In all my years, I never have seen such a potent healing arts. Thank you so much for taking time to help an old woman like me. Fancy parfait recipe. Nice. Oh, we got a new one for Shion. Hey, that was number 12. Nice. Goddess of Kindness. Aw. Ooh. But, okay, we'll finish this first, and then we'll do that one.
I wonder just how many people have been saved by Shion in some form. I'm impressed.
12!
There's rumors flying around about people being saved by a Renin vision of beauty.
Vision of beauty? That's a bit much.
Alphen had better stay on his toes.
Where do I come into this?
Everything will be okay now.
I know the basics of healing arts, but my skills pale in comparison.
Yeah, they do. I had to buy fucking DLC. Oh, where am I? I just went out for a walk, but now I don't know where I am. I don't know. Everything's falling apart and looks completely different. I can't get a hold of Mother and Father either. Either. Ah. You have nothing to fear, kids. I'm sure there's a reason for everything that's going on. But even the Zeugles are out running loose. That seems dangerous. Zeugles are nothing more than our servants. They may have gotten out, but I assure you I'll have them back under control before long. If you kids consider yourself to be proud Renins, then be brave. We'll have the situation fixed before you know it. Everyone wears the same outfit here, dang. Meanwhile, like, obviously she said hers is old, but Dohalim's is, like, very regal, but I guess because he's a lord. And he did wear something normal once. Or not normal, but this outfit once.
Your lordship. Oh, what a great honor it is to finally meet you. I descended to Dana during the last crown contest also. Alas, when the contender I was backing failed to clinch the title, I returned. I witnessed the deaths of so many slaves.
Indeed.
Sorry to interrupt, but we're looking for a woman dressed all in red. Have you seen anyone of that description?
All red, eh? No, I can't say I remember anyone like that. I imagine she'd stand out somewhat, too.
Yeah. What about down on Dana during the crown contest? You didn't see anyone like that hanging around the lord you were serving?
What's with all these questions? I've never seen her, okay? Not recently or otherwise. Why do you want to find her anyway?
Never mind. Forget I asked. Sorry to take up your time.
Here's the thing. Neither Dohalim or Shion saw her. And I actually rewatched recently that part where they're at the dinner table. And she's next to Dohalim, but no one saw her. So I'm starting to think just Renans can't see her. So asking around might not work. Zoogle suddenly stopped listening to our commands. As soon as we turned our backs, they bolted for the horizon. Nothing like this has ever happened before. We have to put the crown contest on hold. We can't carry on while things are like this. Anything else? Doesn't look like it. I heard it again.
Is everything okay? You look a little lost.
Oh, yes. I can't seem to find my way home, is all. I was just about to make my umpteenth attempt at a new route.
I was hoping to head this way myself. The situation is a real pain, huh?
I suppose the Sovereign knows best. I daren't stay here too long, though. A lower caste can only linger around these parts for so long before I outstay my welcome. I was hoping to avoid it, but maybe I'll have to go that way after all.
You mean you know another way round?
Lord Dohalim Ilkaris! But how? Last I heard, you were in Dana competing in the crown contest.
Yes, strange, isn't it? If you know another route, we'd be grateful if you could tell us.
But of course. Please forgive me. There's a wall that sprung up ahead of here, with what looks to be an entrance in it. I thought maybe it was a passageway between the different quarters, but I've no way of knowing for sure.
It's worth investigating, at least. I shall go and assess the situation. In the meantime, wait for me here. If it looks safe, I'll come and let you know.
You'd really do that for me? A lord troubling himself for someone of my lowly status?
Our lot in life is of little consequence. We are both Renan, first and foremost.
Oh, why yes, my lord. Thank you.
Using that lord privilege. But God, I feel so bad for her because she's like, I can't even be here. So there's even places like, because of your class, you shouldn't be at. That's so fucked up. Even to their own, it's so fucked up. With everything all topsy-turvy in the residential quarters, there's a lot of injuries. Stuff keeps dropping on people and they're also falling down. Hey, old man.
Oh, dear me. What an unspeakable mess this has all become. Just look at the state of our city. Even the Zoogles have stopped heeding our commands. Whatever did we do to deserve this?
You really have no clue what might have caused this?
Would that I have. Alas, there was no warning, no prior decree. His Highness must have deemed it unnecessary for us to know.
And you're okay with that?
We have no choice but to grin and bear it.
Ugh.
But do my eyes deceive me? Could I really be standing in the presence of his lordship, Dohalim of the House Ilkaris? I
Ilkaris.
believed he was on Dana.
You
Your
stick
eyes
out
do
like a
not
sore
deceive
thumb,
you.
Dohalim.
It is I, one and the same. I have returned to fulfill a special duty, the details of which I cannot divulge.
As your lordship wishes. First Lenegis mutates beyond recognition, now this unexpected visit. The Sovereign's plans are inscrutable indeed. The Ilkaris house has produced a great many lords over the centuries. I shall be praying for your victory in the latest crown contest.
Oh, so it's something his family's done for a while.
Your good wishes do me an honor.
Well, we've canvassed the city for information. What do you think?
No one has the faintest idea what's happened to the city after all. They haven't heard the news about the crown contest either.
You'd think that info would easily find its way up here. Has it always been like that?
Not to this extent, which would indicate that something's suppressing the truth, that Lenegis is under some kind of control.
Given everything that's happened to their city, the people here seem weirdly okay with it all.
Yeah, that one guy even said his Zoogle had stopped listening to him. If that's true, these people are in big trouble.
Everything that happens here is attributed to the Sovereign's will. It's the way people have been conditioned. Their belief runs deep. Nothing happens devoid of a reason. To them, it's all part of the Sovereign's grand plan.
The Sovereign's plan. There is one thing I'm still not sure about. Just who is this person ruling over Lenegis?
The Sovereign, of course. He rules from Rena while presiding over both Rena and Lenegis.
Without the lords or anyone in the middle doing his dirty work? Isn't Rena at least the same size as Dana? That's a pretty big dominion for one person to rule over. I would have thought ruling Lenegis alone would be difficult enough.
The points you make are valid, though I confess I'd never given it much thought before. Here, the Sovereign's total authority is as natural as night turning to day. Come to think of it, I know nothing of the nature of how Rena itself is. Shion, have you ever been... No, forgive me. Have you met or crossed paths with, or even heard of someone who's actually made a visit to the homeland?
No one's
No.
there.
I haven't.
Neither have I. In which case, I would imagine that... But no, surely not. Can it really be that no citizen of Lenegis has ever been there?
Hold up, what are you getting at, Dohalim?
Rena's
Assuming
dying.
what I
Rena's
believe to be
dying.
correct. It's possible that no one on Lenegis has ever laid eyes on the actual Renan homeworld itself. No one but the Sovereign, that is.
But what about trade and communication? There's got to be a flow back and forth, surely.
Not if the Sovereign is imposing his will on Lenegis single-handedly. It could be a one-way street.
But I thought you said that the Sovereign's all the way over on Rena. If that's the case, can he really rule directly over Lenegis from so far away? What if something were to happen to the city, like now?
I'm beginning to wonder what the nature of this Sovereign even is. Alphen said he was forced into the role, right? Just before the ceremony. But Sovereign is also the title given to the almighty Renan ruler. So which one is it?
Whoever wins the crown contest inherits the throne from his or her predecessor, before becoming ruler over all of Rena and Lenegis. Thereafter, that individual is known as the Sovereign. Though, it would appear that the current ruler has gone silent.
Didn't we kill the
As
current
for how
ruler?
Volron factors
no,
into all
Volron.
this, at this point, I no longer know what to believe.
3 centuries ago, I became the Sovereign here on Lenegis. No, not just became, I was forced to. Me, a Danon. 300 years later, we cross paths with Volron, who also bears the Sovereign's crest. That's not the only thing we have in common. We both became Sovereign without winning the crown contest.
Do you think Volron
What does
was
Sovereign
made
actually
sovereign
mean?
for the same reason? Because of that ceremony?
I can't say for sure, but it certainly sounds like it.
But that would mean that 2 Sovereigns would need to exist at any one time. One whose job it is to rule, and the other for ceremonial purposes. We never did see Volron's body back in Ganeth Haros. Is a new ceremony underway with Volron at its center this time? Could that be what's causing all this strange activity here?
Wait a second. You don't think Volron and the Red Woman are working together, do you? The ceremony can't go forward without the Renis Alma. The same one that the Red Woman stole.
There's something else the ceremony needs. A maiden. And unless there's another one out there aside from me...
Questions, questions, and yet more questions. Ones that it seems will remain unanswered until we can establish the Sovereign's identity.
If the Forbidden Zone really is off-limits to everyone but the Sovereign, that seems as good a place as any to start. For the sake of liberating Dana, too.
Then it's decided. That's where we need to go.
One of the citizens mentioned a passage that she thought might lead to another section of the city. It could point us in the right direction. Let's go find it.
Okay, lots to take in there. So that's why they hadn't attacked for a month, because nobody fucking knew. Nobody knew what was going on in Dana. They just assumed the crown contest was going on as scheduled. That's why they were surprised to see Dohalim, because they're like, yo, what are you doing up here? And... what was she going on? What was that? You two okay? You're just gonna be walking back and forth, aren't you? You guys okay? Also, hey, yeah, you did kind of miss some important things. We're on only guess.
I didn't realize Renin suppressed their own kind, too.
And yet, weirdly, none of them seem to mind. Am I the only one who finds that strange?
It is the way things have always been, so no one thinks to question it. You have experience in that regard yourself, do you not?
Unquestioning acceptance of your own servitude. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Even so, the quality of life here seems much higher than any Danon city we visited. I used to think it was impossible to build an ideal society without wealth. But I suppose having it doesn't always mean people are treated fairly either.
Nope.
More to the point, not a single citizen seems to have even heard of the Red Woman.
What if she's not here? What if it turns out we're looking in the wrong place entirely?
It's still too early to say anything for sure.
For all we know, she might be able to blend in, move around unnoticed. I say we hold off judgment until we've exhausted every avenue.
Our conversation.
Tell me, Dohalim, has that skill of yours got a name?
And what skill would this be, pray tell?
You know, when you're talking to people around town. The way they suddenly become putty in your hands.
He's a
I'm
lord.
afraid I don't quite follow.
I do. It's called friendly intimidation.
That too.
Look imposing and speak in a deep, booming voice, and presto, you'll have people wrapped around your finger in no time.
I would never stoop to such scandalous tricks. Any feelings of intimidation are solely in the eye of the beholder.
So there is a knack to it. How do you learn it? Can anyone do it?
You're too
Now
pure.
you've got me curious. Is there special training to master?
You're
Let's
both too
see.
pure to do it.
An obsession with being elegant is a must. Oh, and it helps to be old-fashioned, too. Bonus points if you speak in a way no one can understand.
If you've a bone to pick with me, it'd be quicker to just come out and say it.
What? They look up to you, that's all. I'm just helping them along.
Yes, tease the Lord.
Hey! What's got into Alphen and Law all of a sudden?
I can barely understand a word they're saying. And what's with the weird poses? Was it something they ate?
I hope you're willing to take the blame for this one.
I wasn't expecting them to take me so seriously.
Look at
I'll
her
go and
face.
have a word with them.
Like, your livestock. Oh shit. Well, I'm on Lenegus, so livestock's gonna have to wait. Okay, let's go. Yeah, I'm sure it doesn't matter if I walk around as Alphen, but it just feels more appropriate to walk around as Xion.
With nobody left to run the show, I wonder what the people here are supposed to do. I mean, there's sovereigns up on the Renin homeworld, and all their lords were sent to Dana.
But Dohalim was a lord, right?
Only current acting lords have power. Renin society is quite strict about such matters.
But they don't know. They don't know, so they think you're still an acting lord. So it's fine. Just don't fucking tell them.
Even if the other lords were still around, I doubt they'd be able to do much about the situation.
I wonder what they'd think if they were here to see Lenegis now. Balsif, Ganabelt, Almadria, and Volron.
Well, Volron probably knows.
Now that I think of it, aside from Dohalim, we know next to nothing about the other lords.
Alphen, your face looks scary. I don't know why. It's just because the his eyes, like, just like wide eyes, like.
Well, yeah, why would we? To us Danans, they were just enemies we needed to overthrow. Nothing more.
I know. But seeing Renans in their own city, going about their day-to-day lives, it gets you thinking.
Yeah, surprise. The society that prides itself in hierarchy will treat, you know, its lowest ranking Renans almost no better than a Danan. The only thing is like they're not slaves. They're the lower class. There's literally the high class, middle class, and lower class. So there is the 1% of the 1%, basically.
It feels strange to imagine the lords living here too, you mean?
Except the lords would probably live in a better area, and then as we just learned, Dohalim's from a family of lineage is of lords. So he's not the only one from his family to do so. Probably why he had to, obviously, compete.
Yeah, a little.
If you're that curious about them, why not try inquiring with some of the locals? Every lord in their household has their share of supporters here on Lenegis. And luckily for us, the people here are unaware of the events on Dana, which means they should be more inclined to talk to us.
Renans and their lords. Yes. Talk to the people who support their lords. Okay, so that's now the subquest. Yeah, we gotta find the Forbidden Zone. I guess we could still talk to some people around here. What? Oh. You want to know which lord I support? Why? Are you out convincing for someone? I'm with His Excellency Elwosley Pelides. You probably know him better as Lord Balsfin. Oh, yeah, he's dead. I know a lot of people consider him to be a giant brute. Believe me, I realize he can be a aggressive man. That's one way to put it. What those people don't realize is how much he looks after the members of his house. It's fair to say that the house, Pelides, doesn't enjoy much esteem. Those of us who serve it will be the first to admit that. Yes. But His Excellency always stands up against any who would mean us harm. Of that we can be sure. I don't care if you're going to try to say something positive. These people were essentially slave drivers. And were also... Well, they were also clearly corrupted by power. And have killed people. Dohalim is essentially the exception to this, but even then his was more of a, I don't like hearing people's screams because it causes me to have a panic attack. And it just turned into, it over time turned into something good. And over time he grew. These guys never grew. So... Balsfin, or Balsac sounds like it better. His efforts in the crown contest aren't only for his family, but to improve the standing of each and every member of his house. Yeah, because I noticed the other lord, when he was talking to him, he treated Balsfin, like, even though they were lords, as somebody lower than him because he was more about brute strength. Kind of makes sense that where he was placed, too. I wonder, where you're placed. I mean, obviously you have the affinity, you're going to have an affinity for a specific astral art, thus you'll be placed into that area, so, but I also kind of wonder, well, no, I take that back for that last statement. I'm sure there is some affinity to it, but Danans can't use light astral energy, yet, Ganabelt was there. So, I'm curious what determines who gets placed where. Besides other than the affinity bit. Like, who gets... But maybe, like, some are, like, better than others. So, like, Balsfin being still a lower lord, he gets placed in Kaglia, which is nothing but fire and brimstone. Yeah, like... they all have their own reasons. With Dohalim, essentially, his was probably... He didn't want to, though. He said he was essentially forced to. He wanted to be a musician, and it sounds like the only reason he did it was because he's from a family of lords. Like, his family lineages is, oh, yeah, there's a ton of lords from your family. So, obviously, he was probably like, oh, no, you need to do this. And we met one of his friends earlier. You missed that? We haven't, but something tells me we're going to meet the girl that, the crying... So, they're like, yeah, his friend's like, yeah, she's, still not happy with you? He also called him Doe. Which is cute. Efforts, yeah. Yes. I owe so much to his excellency. I could never dream of serving any other lord.
Balsef had it in him to care about someone other than himself? Really?
It's possible. A change in position can do much to alter one's perspective.
So even he might have had something he wanted to protect.
So you're saying that they, at one point, may have been good people, but now, now not so much. Ooh, treasure chest. Strawberry. Granted, before this, Dohalim didn't really care about the Danans. He thought them as lowly as anybody else, but obviously, seeing the pain they were in, he didn't like it, because, again, it triggered his PTSD of killing his friend, and his other friend crying, hi Tora. And then, over time, he grew to see, and including his journey with us, the Danans as equals, whereas everyone else didn't have that. So, well, to think someone to try to tear me away from House Valkyries.
What?
Huh? What do you want? Don't tell me you work for Lord Dohalim or that dreadful Lord Almadria, do you? You don't? Well, don't scare me like that. To answer your question, I come from a family that has served House Valkyries for generations. Oh, this is Ganabelt. Indeed, I am doing all I can to support Lord Ganabelt behind the scenes so that he might emerge victorious. Yeah, he's a snake in the grass. Many think of him to be a cruel man, but I insist they're utterly mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I'm thinking too. That's why I said affinity for it. The only one that doesn't fit would be Ganabelt because Renans cannot use light astral energy. They can only use dark astral energy. Danans can use light astral energy, though. Or in the case, mages like Winwell. That's the only thing. Like, if they had an affinity for it, that makes sense. Especially with what they learned. But Ganabelt would not have an affinity for light astral energy because he can't use it. I don't think he used it during the fight. Unless there was a way to check. It's been a while. It's been like a good 30 hours. And that's just talking game time. I'm not even talking about, like, real life. But also, maybe your leadership style, though. What? Okay, so I guarantee you, in the case for Dohalim, his family probably was over Menacea. So, like, we'll just give you Menacea because of your family and your Earth. Maybe that's kind of similar with some of the others. I guess it depends. Though I won't deny he can be strict. He puts Renan's interests front and center like no one else. Except they stopped. They started only caring about themselves or their sick experiments. Why? He advocates that rather than stay confined to Lennigus, we should go on with colonizing Dana and expand our horizons. Oh, so he's a colonizer! Yeah, fuck him. That way, we become masters of both worlds and overturn our current minority status on Dana's surface. So he's a fucking colonizer! Yeah, no, fuck him even more. This is why he seeks out to become our next sovereign. Tell me, is there a greater, more normal ambition than that? I think not. Game came from a country that prides itself that it wasn't, then tried to do things. Yeah, good job. I know, it's bad, okay? And we are aware colonization is bad. Yes? Yes? Good. It is the pursuit of power for the advancement of all our kind. It's what makes him an exemplary lord, a model above all others. Though I was unable to accompany him myself, my 2 sons have been blessed with the honor of joining him on the surface. Your sons are probably dead. As their father, it fills me with endless pride. Yeah, we probably killed them.
Ganabelt was so horrible to people. Yet he was invested in helping Rena succeed. Doesn't that seem just a little inconsistent?
I'm perhaps biased in this matter, I admit. However, in my mind, while all lords vie to become the next sovereign, they're also meant to serve as guardians of all of Rena.
It seems like Ganabelt also had people he cared about until the very end.
So why couldn't he extend that to us Danans?
He's a colonizer, so no. Can anyone hear me? Please, someone answer me. What's going on? Why can't I reach anyone? Like, I get it. It's so that... Here's the thing. Renans and Danans should be able to live together in harmony. So yeah, if Renans want to live down in Danan, fine. You just can't treat Danans as slaves. Obviously, he would still want Danans to be slaves. Lord Dohalim, you have returned. Ah, and I see you brought aides with you. Do you remember me, my lord? Surely you must, yes? Not only do I support House Ilqueris, but more specifically, his lordship personally. Oh, so she's actually our supporter. So much so, I've been trying to share my appreciation of his lordship to anyone who will listen. In fact, I was planning to publish an extensive writings on the subject through this very terminal for all to read and enjoy. But since the lines appear to be cut due to the recent tumult, I've been unable to upload them. Jeez. It's weird, like, we have, like, characters in fucking full-on armor, and yet we have technology. I know, since you're all here, I'll just read them aloud, oh honey. There exists a most handsome man, a man who radiates beauty, whose every word, every syllable is divine poetry. Girl, you simpin' hard. He hails from the famed House Ilqueris, and his name, Lord Dohalim. Music is his passion, the arts his great love. The scores of boorish, uncouth men of this land cannot begin to compare to his magnificence. Oh, honey. Oh god, I'd be so embarrassed. So refined and majestic is his posture, why the mere thought of it brings me to ecstasy. Once he becomes our sovereign, Rena shall bloom anew, ushering in an era of prosperity for our grand civilization. Hey, you know what? At least you're rooting for the winning team here, hun. You're rooting for the right one. Oh, he's actually smiling. He looked like he smiled a little. And now he's like, oh. Until his glorious day comes, I shall forever be praying for his victory, morning, noon, and night. Well, what do you think, my lord? I poured my whole heart into hoping to capture your essence. Wait, I forgot to mention anything about his lordship's love for collecting things. I must take this time to while the lines are down to append it. Only then will my masterpiece be complete. Oh, honey.
I guess she intended to spread it throughout all of Lenegis then.
Good thing the lines were down so she couldn't.
It almost sounded like she was praising them too.
Maybe there was more to the guy than at first glance.
I shall refrain from commenting.
I think he got a little embarrassed. Alright, well, it looks like we talked to, so let's go ahead and head this way then. Oh, they had the same hair, so I thought it was the same girl. It's not. Or similar enough hair. Anything here? Anything down here? Nope. But yeah, we arrived on Lenegis, and clearly when it changed shape, it messed up. No one is. I don't think anyone's at the home world anymore.
This area doesn't look as badly damaged as that other district we went through.
Indeed. The effects of Lenegis's transformation appear to be less pronounced here. Or, viewed another way, this area was simply luckier.
That's what I'm hearing, it's that.
Pardon me.
This area falls under the sole jurisdiction of House Kenaris. I must ask you to depart at once. Surely you don't claim to be ignorant of our famed house, ruled older by Lord Esteem Almadrea. Oh, the crazy bitch? If so, I urge you to listen well. In fact, I bid you listen carefully regardless. Have you ever noticed how in the history of Lenegis, only a few women lords have emerged to compete in the crown contest? Oh! So you support- I kind of fucking hate this because it's like, she's the first woman to be a lord, you know, or blah, or something like that, or this area, or blah blah blah. Because it shouldn't. I'll be happy in the day that doesn't matter, but it does, and have emerged to compete in the crown contest. Many have theories as to why this might be, but Lord Almadrea quashed the doubts of any naysayers through sheer might. In fact, not only did she upset her father and the previous family master, she also removed her older brother to claim the seat for herself. She's a woman who stops at nothing to get what she wants, who gives her enemies nay the slight opening to strike. Yeah, no one tell her about Vohalim. Truly, Lord Almadrea is a woman of talent. No one in all of Rena better exemplifies the virtues of our nation's metrocrat. Oh my god. This is what happens when I speak too fast. It doesn't want to come out. Metrocracy? What? Soon the age of glorious women sovereigns reigning over Lenegis shall be upon us at last.
I guess her willingness to stoop to any low came from a survival of the fittest worldview.
And some people here not only shared her belief, but championed it as morally right too.
That doesn't make it true. Too bad they couldn't see through her.
Yeah.
Basically, they're like, yeah, girl boss, girl boss, girl boss, girl boss, gaslight. That's basically, they're like, yeah, she's totally a girl boss. I'm like, no. Girl boss and gaslight. And I guess also gatekeep. Oh, okay, so meritocracy. Thank you, I got it, meritocracy. Yeah, because I can see the ocracy, and I'm like, okay, it's like democracy, but why can't I say the first part? Meritocracy. Regardless, it literally is good. The Zoogles are cut off. They have nowhere to run now. It's amazing to see those of us with only weak arts can still do this when it all comes together. Keep it up, team. We have these pests taken care of in no time. So you're going to be Voloran.
Ridiculous.
How loathsome. Oh. Oh. I was just reading about Voloran. Can I help you?
Okay.
I was always an inherent supporter of Lord... What fucking Pokemon name is that? Uwagil Hilderus myself? Were it not for his sudden death down on the surface, I likely still would be. In my eyes, Lord Uwagi is the true Water Lord. I don't believe for a second that he perished in some accident like he said. So Vohalim wasn't the initial Lord. As for how Voloran runs Gareth Harros, don't get me started. I hear he enslaves not only Danans, but even his fellow Renans. We may live in a society where the victor goes to the spoils, but his actions go against what we as people stand for. Besides, just what sort of family line is this House Ignaceria of his anyway? I'd never heard of it until he came along, which means they must be among the lowest dreads of society. That's such an ignorable lineage. Has such of an ignorable lineage could suddenly produce an astral arts capable of ascending to lordship is unheard of. None of it makes any sense. Not to mention all the upheaval around here of late. What is happening to our people? I mean, I would call it karma, but
seems like the people on Lenegis don't really know much about Volron either.
I remember being quite surprised when the Lord of Ganeth Harros changed so abruptly.
Didn't you have any doubts that something suspicious was going on?
On the contrary. Remember, we Renans are raised to accept everything at face value.
that's kind of sad.
When you think about it, the families of Renan lords must see them differently than the rest of us.
Yeah, despite the brutality they're known for.
They must have had a lot on their shoulders, carrying all the weight and responsibilities of Renan society.
Renans live in a world where strength and power determine their position in the social hierarchy, so they tend to grow up fiercely competitive. But their loyalty to their people is also strong. It's what brings them together against outside forces, and nothing exemplifies that more than the Lords.
That's what makes them the guardians of all of Rena, so to speak.
Right. It's the same reason Balsif hated my guts, and Ganabelt went after you, because we're threats to Rena.
Guess that makes you an even bigger oddball than we thought.
So, Alphen, have you gained anything from all of this?
Yeah. I think it's made me realize that the Lords were all people, too.
Terrible people, but people.
Balsif and the others, they all had their own circumstances to deal with as they went through life.
Yeah, but still, just because they had loved ones in their lives doesn't mean...
I know. What they did was horrible. I'm not trying to dispute that. But at the same time, they weren't incomprehensible monsters either. They were individuals, just like the rest of us. So I guess what I'm trying to say is...
You're saying that they weren't bad because they were Renans, or because they were terrible monsters. Even if they did terrible things, they were still just people.
Yeah.
Rinwell.
Am I wrong?
Not at all.
Being a Danon doesn't make you a good person. And being a Renan doesn't make you a bad one. I think that's something we've all seen.
Shion and Dohalim definitely make a good case for it.
And I'm going to keep doing my best to make sure I earn that trust, as a fellow human being above all else.
So they're aware that Renans and Danons are essentially both humans. It's just one can use magic naturally, and the other has to learn it. That's about it. And yes, they're people first and foremost. Everyone starts out the same. Everyone starts out the same. You know, when you're born, you start out the same. It's your experiences that change you, and it's also the whole nature versus nurture argument, blah, blah, blah. They're still terrible people. And yeah, no one's gonna dispute that. They did terrible things. I mean, for fuck's sake, look what Aldrea did. And, even if it was for initially their own thing, like Aldrea obviously, in her case, was like, I'm gonna prove a woman can do this, and then it turned into experimentation. Falsfen wanted to prove his family being capable despite being a lower class, essentially. And then you had Ganabelt, who wanted to expand Renan horizons, which to them sounds good. Granted, to us, it's like, fuck you. But to them, it sounds good. To them, it's something good. When you're brainwashed that, to think that... Interesting that but then Valoran is obviously like, no, something's weird with Valoran, and the fact that he also enslaved Renans is fucking weird, and blah blah blah. So yeah, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. That's a good way to put it. Like, even in Dohalim's case, his was definitely his was not so much out of good intentions, but out of, not wanting to get a, trigger. But because of that, his right-hand man essentially took matters into his own hands, and, with the fruit. And we got fucking Capri Sun LCL. So people still suffered, he just didn't know. But there was also some good out of that. With the fact that there were Renans who stayed with the Danans. So it shows, so Dohalim shows that it can change, even if it's by a little bit. There's a lot, and I'm like tired. It's midnight, so I'm like trying to think. But it's definitely not black and white. It's shades of gray. I mean, hell, speaking of experimentation, how much of our medical science today was from you-know-what? That we learned from you-know-what, and from what group? I don't want to say their names on here. You know what I'm talking about. You know, a lot of stuff, a lot of that research was still used. Despite the fact that it cost thousands of lives. So people could see Eldrea as like that because she was like learning, she wanted to learn all the different magics, and yeah. Granted, it was more sick experimentations of creating, but still. You can kind of parallel that. With her trying to learn the Danon, you know, it's like learning Danon magic and all the other shit she did. Or interesting, though it is interesting that Ganabelt, who wanted to colonize, was given an area that essentially couldn't grow shit because it was too cold. That wouldn't be a safe place to. And then Valoran just is a sick son of a bitch. It's not black and white. And we've known that since the start. It is not black and white. Yeah. The residential quarters is completely ruined, the roads are a mess, and we can't get any power. The info terminals have gone dead too. We can't get in contact with any of our fellow Renans on the ground in Dana. I wonder if the Sovereign is aware of what's going on. As a member of the upper caste, I order you to find a route out of here in the neighboring district. Please no, you can't expect an old man such as me to do that, not when there's Zoogles running loose in the part of the town. That's exactly why I need you to do this. Surely you don't intend to defy me, now do you? So even their own, like that one dude was pissed off that Valoran was doing it, but they still do it to themselves anyway. You saved my life. I would have been a goner had you not arrived when you did, milady. I understand we're in a crown contest, but I had no idea such a capable astral artist was in our midst. Forgive me for not realizing it sooner. A woman with strong astral energy. Come on, you don't need to blow so deeply. All I did was strike a Zoogle's weak point. I didn't even go down to Dana for the crown contest. I'm not sure how to feel about all this praise you're heaping on me. Where's my house? I don't know how to get home. I feel bad for the kids. Sorry, authorized personnel only. The damage beyond here is too severe. You'll have to go around. Okay.
There's something I just don't get.
What is it?
The crown contest itself has always gone ahead as planned, right? In which case, the current sovereign of Rena should be whoever it was that won the previous contest.
Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, who was it then?
Alrin?
Hanfried Milgras, the former lord of Cislodia, if memory serves.
So then this Hanfried whatchamacallem, he's the current ruler of Rena?
The last I heard, yes. Though, admittedly, I haven't actually seen him since the end of the previous contest.
Have you seen any of them?
You're saying that ever since becoming sovereign, he's never actually shown himself on Lenegus?
I guess over holocom maybe, but not in the flesh. Same thing goes for the sovereign that came before him.
They're all
Now
fucking
that you
dead.
mention it, I don't recall anyone ever visiting Lenegus from the motherland, sovereign or otherwise.
And that never struck you as a little bit odd?
When you live here, it's as if you're conditioned not to notice all these strange quirks and discrepancies. The question is then, by whom? And to what end?
It's called brainwashing, sweetheart.
A new Renis Alma is supposedly created to coincide with every crown contest, meaning each victor is awarded their very own.
They're
In
100%
other words,
dead.
if that's true, there should be as many of the things out there as there have been contests.
True, but going on what we witnessed in Pelagian, it didn't look like the sort of thing that could be made to order. But if even the victor's speeches have been part of some grand deception, then where are they? Quite frankly, I'm not even sure what to believe anymore.
You and me both. Though we are Renin by blood, neither of us even knew that such a thing as a Dark Master Core existed, remember?
With any luck, the Forbidden Zone might give us some answers.
No use standing around here chatting about it then. Let's get a move on.
Oh yeah, they're all either dead or they're being used. I think Rena is dying, and that's why they were trying to get all the astral energy from Dana, but it's not enough. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards that theory too. How could all this happen for years? Lenegis was the bastion, and yeah, they would, because the whole point of the crown contest was see which lord produced the most astral energy. Would they just take it with them? Oh my god. Then is it the woman in red that is the lady in red? Or the red woman as they keep calling her? Is it them? Like, are they, is it the astral energy of the planets? What? Is it Volar? Like, yeah, it's probably, yeah, why they wanted to, because Sovereign, Sovereigns aren't the leaders. They make you think it's the leader. They're because of the whole hierarchy. And they're like, oh, this way we'll have strong astral, those with astral energy, strong astral energy, or, strong in astral arts, want to be sovereign to us. Oh, you missed it. When we were on the ship that Alphen was in, he was in a container that's supposed to keep you healed. He was in there for 300 years. So what if the sovereigns are also kept alive like that and literally a battery? But it also would explain again why they wanted a Danon. But they also need it. But there's also the whole ceremony, and what's the maiden's point of all this? And we have to go back to Shion's thorns. Why would she get all maidens given thorns? But if that was the case, then the world would have ended by now, unless they all died. Unless they all died once the thorns were taken out. But no, they were poking and prodding her, so they hadn't seen thorns before. Unless, why does she have these? Unless somehow she got, like, loose. Maybe. She says she's had him as long as she remembered. So, she's saying she grew up on here. And she's likely a descendant of, Nori, or... Fuck, sorry. No, I'll know when I hear the name again. The previous maiden that we saw with Alphen 300 years ago. How could any of this happen? For years, Lenegis was the bastion in order stability. Where did it all go so wrong? I think the rest of Renin, like all the Renins, they're not on Rena. They're all on Lenegis. Nobody is on Rena. Nobody. With maybe the woman, the red woman. That's it. That's the only thing I can think of. Because if I were to go back to the Hainer right now, I can go back to Dana. So we're going to be leaving Lenegis to go to Rena, probably.
Doe?
Faria.
Varia? Isn't that the person that Avakir guy was...
Why are you here? Wait. Don't tell me you've given up on the crown contest and come crawling back home from Dana already.
Uh-oh.
Nothing to say? Even though you were willing to kill Tarnigan to secure your position as Lord, you still...
Kill?
I'm here to take care of something. If you wish to continue this conversation, I only ask that you wait until I'm finished.
Oh, of course. You always did prefer to take the coward's way out. Even after 7 years and living on that Danon rock, you haven't changed one bit. But let me tell you, I haven't changed either. Not a day's gone by the past 7 years that I haven't hated you.
If killing me will bring you peace, then so be it.
Dohalim, what the hell are you saying?
First, I have business to take care of. If it's vengeance you seek, I will grant you it. But you must wait. My sins are legion. Let me finish what I came to do. Then you have my word. I will let you do whatever brings you peace.
Sure, that's it. Run away like always. You don't even have the courage to die. No wonder you leave it to someone else. You're just a coward!
Well, your friend was actually about to kill him too. Oh no.
Dohalim.
I apologize that you had to witness that.
Is it true? What she said about you killing someone?
Each of us have our pasts. I am no exception.
Before, back in Menancia, you mentioned having taken a friend's life over the throne. Is that what she meant?
The mistakes I made there were not my first, and may not be my last. I will say no more.
Did you mean what you said? About letting her take your life if she wanted to?
She has more right to my life than anyone.
But you can't just...
Whatever happens, I have sworn to put an end to the crown contest, and to ensure continued coexistence in Menancia. I have no intention of expiring before I do so. There are far too many questions I still seek answers to. Besides, you have just as much reason to kill me as she does.
Dohalim!
Forgive me. Some things are best left unsaid.
What is with you Danons and death wishes? Or not Renans and your death wishes. First Shion and now you. My god, you all need some Floxetine or Prozac or something. Jesus Christ. That's the way we came from. Dan's like, I need to die so the world doesn't fucking end. And now it's like, now Dohalim is like, even though his friend was probably going to kill him too. My guess is that, I mean, she probably cared for that guy. But, the cutscene, they were both fighting for it, and I'm assuming... Oh, there's a Zoogle. I was like, what the fuck? Fire? I feel guilty about fleeing while there are kids out there fighting. There's no need to worry about them. They come from a higher-ranking family than ours. That makes their astral art stronger than ours. They're simply fulfilling their duty to society as members of the ruling elite. I know, but it still doesn't sit right with me. No, let the 1% fucking work. Your Renans are self-destructive. Our two Renans are self-destructive, and I am concerned. This is crazy. How long is this gonna keep on? I don't know. Normally when we would have had orders from the top brass informing all the separate classes what they need to do. I doubt that's happening. The whole chain of command in the city seems to like it's broken down. Nobody knows what's happening. That doesn't mean someone somewhere isn't watching our every move. Yeah, Big Brother's always watching. For now, we should see if there's anyone higher ranking around here. Maybe they'll have an idea about what we should be doing. Yeah, what is the Red Woman? Like, what are they? They're clearly... I don't think they're Renin. Or not in the same sense that, you know, the rest of the Renins are. Not like Shion and Dohalim. I don't even think they're human. Maybe they're personifications of the astral energy? Tofu. Next time I watch the opening cutscene, I'll have to count how many there are. We know there's at least 5. Unless it's the same one multiply. I don't think so. The feeding pin is in bad shape. Who knows how many people have died? What happened to the Zoogles? Don't tell me they broke out. No, luckily we were able to seal them off before they got too far. Not that it does much good when they escaped in other districts too. If I had to guess, I say there's a lot of Zoogles running loose throughout Lenegis. Oh, hello. Is Driel? Driel? Thank you for the follow. I have to check all these. Oh yeah, you're. Let's make sure I was reading that right. Ah! All our best soldiers are stationed down in Dana. Or yeah. And there's a lot more of them than us too. What are we going to do? All our best soldiers in Dana. Alright. Up here? Nope. It's kind of funny just seeing people just like little... Because money. Because they want you to pay money. You know you can buy like little accessories. Like I've seen them at, you know, discount stores. But, yeah, I agree. It's dumb. They want you to use headphones. They want you to buy their product.
Wow, this place is beautiful.
Yeah, it must be some sort of rest and leisure area for the locals.
You think? Man, these Renin sure know how to live it up, don't
Looks
they?
boring to me.
Is something the matter, Dohalim?
Before I went down to Dana, my friends and I, we used to gather at this very spot and play music together. Avakir, Faria, and Tarnigan. That was a lifetime ago now.
Tarnigan. He was the one that Faria mentioned, right?
He was once my dearest, closest friend. As well as Faria's betrothed.
Of course. That's why she's so pissed.
Despite Faria's lower class upbringing, she possesses a tremendous talent for music. Entranced by her playing, I helped her overcome her sense of inferiority and introduced her to Tarnigan and Avakir. It was a time of great joy. 4 people bound only by their love of music, with no care for social standing. Only the next song, the next melody.
A friendship based on mutual respect, and a society where everyone is a prisoner to their social class. You really are different, Dohalim.
I suppose it's natural you would see it as strange.
I would have, once. Now, I think the idea of breaking away from society's constraints and choosing your friends based solely on affection is something beautiful that's worth cherishing. Besides, it was that way of looking at the world that laid the foundations for coexistence in Menancia.
Your praise does me too great an honor. I was merely following the wishes of my own heart. And even then, it only lasted until the crown contest began. After that, Tarnigan and I became fierce competitors for the position of Lord. Tarnagan had fallen for Faria. By becoming Lord, he aimed to wrest her from her humble origins and raise her to the highest echelons of society. But fate was not so benevolent.
What happened?
Tarnagan was no match for me in combat. On a level playing field, he wouldn't have stood a chance. But he was desperate and low on options, and he couldn't stand the thought of defeat.
You mean he resorted to dirty tactics to try to win, right? But then why does Faria think... Wait. Don't tell me she doesn't know.
How could I tell her? Combined with the trauma of losing her beloved, and by her friend's hand, no less, she would have been devastated.
So instead you let her go on hating you, so she could use that hate as a crutch for her grief?
That's not the same as running away, though.
It is exactly the same. Unable to face the loss of my friend and the burden of my duty, instead I decried my fate and looked away from what I'd done. As for what happened after, that you already know.
But if you hadn't become Lord, Menancia wouldn't be what it is now. The Danans there would still be suffering under Renan oppression like before.
Shion's right. What other lord would have treated me as you did? Anyone else and I would have been dead long ago. You've saved so many people, Dohalim. You saved me. It's thanks to you that I'm here today. So, try not to blame yourself. The burden you've placed on your own shoulders is too much for anyone to bear.
Frank as always. But I shall do my best to heed your advice.
Do you think he'll be all right?
Yeah, I think so. He's got Kisara.
It's important to have someone like that.
I didn't realize how difficult it is just to be there for someone.
Sometimes just knowing someone's on your side can be enough. And he knows, Shion. I promise he does.
I hope you're right.
Uh-oh, he's suspicious.
Alphen,
Yeah?
I never appreciated until recently just how much you were always there to support me.
It goes both ways. You've helped me keep going more times than I can count.
Maybe, but I still wanted to say thank you.
Okay, we're gonna take a quick break. I need to refill my drink. Also, Doris, thanks for the follow there too. Alright. I will be right back.